Hey everybody, welcome back to the Caves Cast podcast. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Ryan.
and today we are going to be going over Mark Waid and Dan Mora's Shazam.
It's oh my
What-
goodness.
it's good, man. That's all. I mean, that's what like all we really need to say is that it's great and it's
Yeah.
awesome and it's probably one of like, and I know people don't really like when this is used as like a descriptive word, but like a fun book.
Yeah.
But it is, man. It's funny, it's silly, it's like it's weird because I said this recently. Like, I feel like that there's been like a resurgence of these books that feel modern, but also have that golden age feel and that humor, like Shazam, Immortal Thor, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange. Like all of these books seem to be like harkening back to like its origins.
Yeah. It's going right
Where
back
it's
to
like,
basics. Like,
yeah, and
you
and
know,
I love that. I think that's been missing from comics for a long time. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the grittiness of some comics. I like the serious tone of some comics, but like
right.
I think for me, the like
But
one of
we
the
all
reasons,
need like those fun, like we
yeah,
all
like
need those kind of fun in
yes,
between to kind of break it up,
yeah,
And
like I mean, there are plenty of books that are like that. Like Batman is that way, and Hulk is that way. Like there's a lot of books that'll give you that. But I
right.
also think it's nice to see a lot of these heroes that originated from a lighter hearted like past, like
Right. Billy's
they've come
perfect for
back
that.
to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've come back to that. And I think that's cool. And I think that works perfectly for Shazam because he really is a kid in an adult's body,
Right.
like at the end of the day.
Right. And not even that,
So,
dude. I mean, that's one of the best looking books out right now, dude.
oh,
Like
dude, hands down. Like,
it,
it's so funny because like I didn't think Dan Mora could get any better.
right.
And I mean, obviously he is getting better because his art is just spectacular. But
Mm,
like when him and Tamara Bonvillain are doing stuff together, it looks perfect.
yeah.
And I couldn't have imagined it any more perfect until this book.
Right.
Like the color, like Alejandro Sanchez, who's on colors for Shazam, is excellent, man.
Yeah. He's making
It's
it
really,
pop.
really, really good. Like he just has that. The shading is perfect. Like everything just looks so solid, dude.
Right.
I guess we'll get into the issue just because I don't
Yeah.
want to waste too much time just gassing it up and stuff. But
Right.
this is the end of the first arc. I don't even know what this arc was called.
Um, I forget what it's called, but I do know it's basically just about the gods basically having their way with Billy because
Yeah, because they kind of feel like they don't have the respect that they used to have, and they're kind of over. Oh, let's see. Meet the Captain, Chapter 6.
yep, that's got to be it then.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, that's the name of the storyline. This is the end of
Yeah.
this first arc. So to kind of sum things up, like we were saying, all of the Greek gods, like Zeus, Ares, Hercules, Solomon, Mercury, and somebody else. Can't remember who off the top of my head, but maybe Hermes. I don't know.
Hermes.
Maybe I don't know.
It is
It's
Hermes.
regardless. They're the six of the Greek gods that the six gods that give Shazam his powers are kind of like over him. Like they're over this the way things have been for so long, and they don't feel like that humanity doesn't respect them anymore, and they don't fear the gods, and they don't have like what they think is like a healthy respect of them.
Right.
So they decide to hijack Billy's body while he's using the powers of Shazam and kind of take turns with doing things.
Making
Well,
like a jerk out of himself
yeah,
or
like the first instance is he saves these people and then they start touching him. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Captain. Like, thank you, Captain Marvel, or whatever they call him now.
yeah,
And I
the
think,
captain.
um, they're like, oh, thank you. And he's like, well, quit touching me, you filthy worms. Like, you should be
Yeah.
bowing down to me. Like, and
He's like, "Whoa,
Billy,
where did that come from?" I
yeah,
didn't
like Billy was able to recognize that.
Right.
And as like the series has gone on, we've seen other instances where, you know, the other gods have taken control of his body and they've done similar things. Like they've lashed out or they've like said things or done things that the people know that the captain wouldn't necessarily do. So
Right.
they're all kind of like thrown off guard by what's happening. I mean, and meanwhile, you have the side plot of, I mean, there's a ton of things going on, in this book so far. Like you have from the first issue, you have the dinosaur that's come to
That's
audit
so cool.
because
They're like in the
Billy,
background this whole arc too. They're just kind of
yeah,
chilling and
yeah, it's like the silly, goofy, like Silver Age backup,
yeah.
like background story where it's like every issue, this dinosaur's like, hey man, like you didn't do this right and you saved him and you weren't supposed to, and now you gotta fill out all the damn paperwork.
Yeah, and then they had like a tea party, I think, the first issue. They
Yeah,
had like a little tea
yeah, and
party
they're all just
going.
like messing around.
Only
And
Mark Waid, man, would make tea
yeah.
party space dinosaurs. Like awesome.
Yeah, and like, and then while all this is happening, the rest of the family doesn't have access to the powers.
Right.
So it's just Billy. I mean, Mary has access, but she also draws her powers from other gods too. So
Right. And she went through like a whole arc in the Lazarus Planet thing. So I think that's
yeah,
why.
and it was like in Wonder Woman and all that too, right? Because she's
Yeah.
like very connected with the Amazons now. She's in
Yeah.
the Amazon attacks thing too.
Hmm.
So I mean, Mary's off doing that, and she shows up in the series. Like she's in issue 4 where they go and like they're dealing with stuff on the moon, and like Queen Bee is, I don't know. It's like, and then it involves the gorillas from Gorilla City. Like it's just fun, silly, like
Yeah.
kind of what I always imagined a modern day Shazam book would be. You
Right.
know?
And it's pretty all in character too. Like when he goes to the Queen Bee and Zeus sees her and Zeus is like,
Yeah,
oh, like, and then
yeah.
he takes over and tries to spit game at her through Billy and
And that's like the nice thing too is like most. I think writers tend to shy away from the fact that these gods are like they're up their own asses most of the time. Like really, like Zeus can't see past his own nose unless it's a beautiful woman.
right.
Like he's so caught up in his own stuff that if unless you're like showing up saying, "Hey," like flaunting something for him, like he's not going to pay attention to his own other than his own interests.
Right. And it was
So
working.
like,
He was raising her up and it was working.
yeah, man, yeah, and then yeah, it's just so funny. Like, and that's like I said, like that's the thing I appreciate the most is the gods are like they're all so different. They all have like a different attitude, a different personality, like you know, and it's nice to see that, and they're not just all written as like
Yeah,
these omniscient, powerful beings that are just stoic and serious all the time.
exactly.
And there's conflict amongst them. Like we know that they don't get along, so it's nice
Right.
to see them actually not get along.
Right.
So like, and they make fun of each other and they're mocking each other, but like when it gets down to it, they have to like, okay, they have to get to business.
Right.
So like there's a lot of like small threads like coming along, and it's simple to follow, which is nice. Like it's not like an overly convoluted plot. It's
Yeah,
just,
it reads so quick.
yeah, and it all exactly. It's like 5 minutes per issue,
Yeah.
if that, like 5 to 10 minutes, I'd say tops. But like, it's just cool to see Wade. Like, I kind of own his lane, you know,
Yeah.
like because he's been doing this for how long, and superhero stuff is like his jam, dude.
And he
So
does it like effortlessly, it seems.
yeah,
Like effortlessly.
and that's what I mean. Like, there's so many different things happening in this book, but they're all so simple to follow along with that it doesn't feel like it's a drag.
Right.
Like you have the main plot with the gods wanting to take over Billy. You have the background stuff with like each issue is dealing with something different, and it's like the serialized, like more like akin to Silver Age stuff. Like it's like a random adventure, but connects to the bigger plot with it.
Right.
And you have like that extra background stuff of the dinosaur and what he's trying to do. Like that's the through line all the way through it, which leads us into that next arc
Right.
because of how the story goes. But as far as the issue itself, man, like it's pretty straightforward. It's
Yeah.
just like what we know up until this point is Billy has kind of Billy's been dealing with everything he's been dealing with, but then you have his name is blanking on me right now. The other one,
I forget. The guy with the staff?
Freddie.
Freddy,
Freddie.
yeah.
So Freddie he's been kind of sneaking up on the gods, overhearing their conversations. He gets caught, but he also like cooks up a plan with them to maybe kind of work things out, and we'll see what happens, basically, is what he says.
Right.
But then the end of last issue, Billy confronts the gods and they're like, all right, man, like whatever kind of deal, like you're just a kid, like you don't scare us, Like, are you gonna take the power? Are you gonna give it up? What are you gonna do? Like, because if you take the power, we're gonna control you, kind of situation,
Right.
you know? And Freddy pops in and says, "I'll take it." You know, he's like, "I'll do it." He's like, "I got no problem doing it." He's like, "Billy's got his own set of issues and he can't get over them, so I'll take it and I'll be your vessel." Basically, he's like, "I'll show you how good you guys are."
Right.
And then the gods give Billy the chance to react, and of course he says no. You know, and they're getting ready to fight. Like they're ready to throw down. Him and
Mhm.
Freddy are, but Freddy kind of lets him in on a secret, saying, "Hey man, like it's like we're trick. I'm trying to trick them.
Right.
Like obviously this isn't real, but I'm trying to trick it." And so they're like tussling around for a minute, and all of the gods are like, "Yeah, get him!" Like it's just like a fight, for the power.
Yeah.
But then Zeus is like over it. He's like, "All right, stop it. Like that's enough. Like I'm Zeus. You don't think I'm gonna see through this like ploy of you stalling and doing all these things?"
Right.
It's like he threatens to like not to kill them, but to like give them like an eternal punishment.
Yeah.
Like, and I like how there are references to other like Greek myths. Like the first one, I might command a bird of prey to feast upon you endlessly.
Right.
And then like Atlas like pushing the stone. Oh, not Atlas. I can't remember his name, but like it's the where he has to push the stone up the hill and it always falls down.
Sisyphus.
Yes, 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 yes. So
Yeah.
like it's so it's so funny to see him like reference that stuff. It's cool.
Right.
And and then all of a sudden the rest of the Shazamly come in, but they've like raided Billy's closet as they call it, or his trophy room.
Right.
Like of all the enemies he's beaten and all the things he's collected over the years as the captain. He's stored them in the Rock of Eternity.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Eugene, Darla, Pedro, and even the dinosaur
Dude, that was
come in
so cool to
hot,
see
dude.
him. Yeah.
Was
Little
Spy
white outfit
Smasher,
too.
yeah, Spy Smasher, Bullet Girl, Mr. Adam, and Eugene the Invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just picked a bunch of like props and magical relics from the
Yeah.
Rock of Eternity to like even the playing field a little bit.
Which is pretty
And the
fun.
gods think it's hilarious. The gods think that they're just totally like not serious,
Right.
think it's a joke. And then so they kind of show them that it's not.
Right.
Billy has the club, like uh Pedro ends up like wrecking house with his armor. Darla's blasting her way through everybody. And then my favorite of them all, man, is the dinosaur.
Yeah. He is
The dinosaur
awesome.
when he's like, "Hey man," he's like, what does he say? Oh, it's like, "Madness, the lizard beast thinks it can threaten us with an empty box." He's like, and he opens up his suitcase and he like puts them in, and
Yeah.
it's like the magic bag where like it never ends.
Right.
I thought that was so
Like that
funny.
empty void.
Yeah, and
That's
all he says
awesome.
is, "Oh dear."
It
It's so funny, man. Like this
is.
book is just so good.
It is. And I mean,
Hilarious.
Mark Waid even said that like Dan Mora had no idea what the Shazam family was about. So I feel like Mark Waid is just having a blast, just teaching Dan Mora and just being like, dude,
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like every time Dan Moore is asked about like to do something, he's just like, "Okay, I'll do it.
right.
I'll figure it out."
But I mean, if you have anybody to collaborate with you to teach you some stuff,
Oh, dude.
Mark Wade's your,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and I imagine he's having a blast just getting the opportunity to draw like even in World's Finest, I'm sure he's having like the most fun time just like getting to draw all these characters and
yeah,
even like almost create new versions of them in some way. Like
exactly.
especially like with the Kingdom Come arc that they're doing right now, like
Yeah,
he's getting to draw iterations of characters that we never saw in Kingdom Come.
right. Because
So
they're like
it's cool.
jumping timelines in there, so
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
even know
Yeah, because
what.
I mean, right now they're in the past before Kingdom Come.
Right,
So it's like we saw Nightwing, like we saw a bunch of like Hot Girl, we
right.
saw
But in that timeline, everybo's dead, so it's like,
yeah, like and then you jump like from that first issue when they're jumping through the timeline, like it shows them all dead at the end of the timeline.
yeah,
So it's cool. It's cool to see him get to draw a bunch of new characters that he's probably never drawn before. I mean,
yeah, and
these characters,
especially the Greek gods. I'm sure he's having fun.
yeah,
Just
and it's so sick, man, because he always has like the best character designs. Like,
he does.
and I felt this way since like Once and Future. Like
Yeah,
all of his character designs in that book are flawless.
yeah.
And like the way he designed the gods, they're all unique. They all have their own like motif.
They have their
It's
own
nice.
voice, yeah, and they all
Yeah,
have like
it's
their
all
own.
really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they keep messing with, you know, the gods and they're kind of like stalling for time. And Zeus is like pissed at this point. He's telling everybody to stop fighting, and then Eugene hits him with the the staff,
Yep.
you know, and he says, "See, I've read all about you, Zeus. The threats, manipulation, anger, deceptions. They even say you once disguised yourself as a swan. Which I didn't buy because to me you're just a really big quack."
Yeah.
And turns Zeus into a duck.
I know, and it's very Howard the Duck-esque looking duck too, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's so funny, man. Cause like, and then they give him like the lisp too.
yeah.
He's like, "Stop it! The
Yeah,
snow
it's
laughing
got
at
like
me."
that tune, like that Disney Donald Duck kind of like
Yeah, it's hilarious, man.
yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Yeah, there was an
And like,
uproar about that.
even the gods can't help themselves. Like, they're like trying not to laugh about it.
Right.
And
Which I mean, I mean, Zeus could do that in Greek mythology. He could just like kind of turn you into anything. He had like reality warping. So he could
yeah, I mean,
like turn you into another animal or something like that. So it's kind of
right.
funny
I
that
mean,
it's
it's
flipped
just
on
like
him.
it's and that's like a similar theme amongst like a lot of mythologies, like shape shifting and taking on a form of certain things, like,
Right.
and that's just a common theme. Like, how many times in Greek mythology alone has Zeus changed his shape into a human man, into an old man, into something else to like basically to just to get some ass,
Yeah.
like, and that's really what it boiled down to. Like, he's such a like player, man. Like,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see that Wade doesn't shy away from like what we know of those original myths and how the gods' personalities were.
Right.
It's just very modern and very like very fitting for the comic book universe,
Yeah. He doesn't go too dark
No.
and deep
I
with
mean,
it.
yeah, because like,
Therefore,
yeah, you don't want to go that far.
no, but it's still pretty cool that he found like a balance to be able to be like,
Yeah,
here
yeah,
they are in
which is
character,
like
but
which is what I feel is like I'm missing a lot of the time from like modern day like Marvels, like when they do gods and stuff.
mhm,
A lot of them just act the same, you
yeah,
know? Like, I mean, granted, like if you like Thor and Hercules obviously act very different, but
right,
like the most recent time when we saw the Greek gods and guardians, like in Ewing's run, like they're more like just these like far off powerful beings and not necessarily like like the more traditional versions of those gods.
yeah.
And then you have the opposite end of that spectrum when you get things like Love and Thunder, and it's just all a big joke. Which like
Because
for
now
what
what are you
it
gonna do
is,
with the gods? They're all
for
jokes.
what it is, man, like if you're gonna make the gods these like, these negligent, like self-obsessed beings, that's not too far from the truth in most
Right,
cases when it comes to mythology. But when you take it to like when you crank it to 11, it gets kind of annoying, which it did,
right,
but that's neither here nor there.
mhm,
Um, Billy notices that there's something amiss in this fight. One there's only five gods, so where's the sixth? And he recognizes that there's somebody hanging out in the shadows, and it's Solomon.
right. Because he's not a
So
god.
I mean, it's
He
weird because
technically
he like
is.
is and isn't. I don't know. It's weird. They
Yeah,
never like really classify him as one, but he acts like he is.
right. He's like got the brain better than a god, so it's
Yeah. And so like Zeus is just getting like worked up, bro, and he's telling everybody just knock it off. And then
mhm,
he's like wondering where Billy's at, and so he is up with Solomon now, and they're chatting it up, and he's saying, "Hey, man, like this isn't how things are supposed to be, and you know it." He's like, "You know that this is wrong. You know that this is not what the power was meant to be and what it was used for." It's like it basically giving them like the classic, like, you know what you're doing is wrong, so please fix it.
right,
And then Solomon, being the wise one that he is, recognizes the error of his ways, and he says, oh, you're right. He says, I can't fight them. I'm not a god.
right,
Um, but he says, yeah, he says, I cannot fight them. I'm not a god, Billy. And he says, but you're smarter. And then Billy brings up the prospect of why not making the captain even more wise. Like
exactly.
this way, you don't have to get involved, but you also give the captain an edge when I transform. So he's not, and it's weird because like the wisdom thing implies that like he's almost like too smart to be out, like to be like mind controlled.
Right.
So
But it's almost like he's kinda nerfed in a way because the gods kinda fear
Yeah,
wisdom and like how
yeah, and he does like preface it like with Billy that it like if he can do it, but it's gonna have a cost,
right.
and the cost being that there's a growing divide between Billy and the captain, and it's up until now it hasn't really been that evident, and Solomon's been the only one to notice it,
Hmm.
but it's growing larger and larger and larger. So if he does this, it's going to increase that gap. So it's going to be almost like a I don't want to compare it to like Bruce and Hulk kind of situation,
Right.
but I guess it kind of could be,
Yeah, where
you know.
pretty much just
Um
yeah.
or almost I guess if you think about it more kind of like Rick Jones and more and Janice Bell,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because they're still two independent beings of each other and they just kind of switch places. I
Right.
wonder if that's where this could go.
I think so. And I think
You
that would
know,
be
where
an interesting place where they kind of refer to each other as different people.
yeah, yeah. And right. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to and with Wade being the one to tackle it, it's
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, with wisdom comes maturity, so Shazam's going to be way more mature once he gains this wisdom, which to
right,
Billy will be a
right,
jarring shakeup.
right, right. And I don't know, man. I would like to see if they do choose to go that route, I would like to see them really focus on the relationship between those two.
Right.
Like between Billy and the captain, like where they've gone or where they've been and where they're gonna like where it'll go next. But
Right.
like it could be a really cool introspective look on those two characters that isn't just like a slapstick silly kind of thing. Because Wade can draw some or Wade can write some really like heavy emotional stuff too, you
He
know?
could. Yeah.
Like so it would be cool to see him. I mean, obviously he'll keep up with the Silver Age-esque, you
Right.
know, comedy and stuff, but I think for like the relationship between Billy and the captain should be handled like pretty on like on the straight and narrow. Like keep it simple, keep it like just between the two of them.
Right.
And what does that say like for the rest of the family if they get their powers again?
Right.
You know, like because of if the power still comes from Shazam and from Billy or the captain and Billy, do does that wisdom carry over onto them?
Right.
Like, does that mean that Pedro and Eugene and Darla's, Shazam counterparts are going to be have a like? Are they going to be two? Are they going to be independent personalities too?
That would make sense. I mean, but I think that'd be interesting because you're going to have two different groups of people who have to communicate with their other halves all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that works, and I think that'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing to explore.
yeah,
Besides what they're setting up, I mean,
yeah. I mean, yeah, and then Billy turns into the captain, kind of makes quick work of everything. Tells the gods like, "Hey, man, like I'm too smart for this. You can control me. You can try and control me all you want, but it doesn't work."
yeah,
And he's like very sympathetic with him. He's like, "Listen, man." He's like, "I get it. Like this is not the old times. It things don't work the way that they used to, and people don't know you, and they don't respect you, and they don't like revere you the way that they used to."
right. And they don't need to worship you because we have superheroes.
Yeah,
So
well,
you know,
like right, exactly. And then the other thing too is like he even tells them like stop looking for proxies, stop trying to do it through people and just do it yourselves.
right,
Like if you really want people to notice you and to revere you and to like worship you as a god again, you need to go out down there and you need to do the work yourself. Like
right,
he basically just says like you're petty and all of these things that you guys have been doing for for generations, for eons, like it's just been getting worse and you need to be the one to fix it. He's like, you can't use me to fix it.
right.
Like, cause he's like, I'm too smart for that now. And two, I was willing to step aside and never be a hero again. So you couldn't.
Exactly.
So and Zeus doesn't like this, like he's very egotistical.
Right,
And so he even says, like, you will respect us, like you will bow, like basically you will bow to us, And Billy hits him with a hey man, like respect is earned. He's like,
yeah,
but he's like, you do this and like basically saying like if you go down there and you do the work yourself, you like your reach and your influence is gonna be far like way greater than if he did it, you know?
right.
So he's just trying to hold them accountable and make them do what they should have done from the get-go,
Exactly.
you know? And Zeus takes a second to realize things and like lets them bounce, you know, they take off. Um, and then we get back to the closet, or aka the chamber of souvenirs in the Rock of Eternity. And they
Hmm.
put everything back, you know, the gods are gone. That conflict is done for now. Um, the dinosaur's like losing his mind, man.
Right.
He like does not like that this place is a mess.
Exactly.
But but it like gets him all worked up and excited because it's like a challenge for him to like clean things up.
Yeah.
Because he's the auditor dinosaur, you know, like he came from space to kind of clean up the mess that Billy started and get through all the paperwork and do all that stuff.
And
So
he's
like
pretty dapper himself, so he's
yeah,
very,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. So like he's like excited now, you know?
Mhm.
um and then we cut to like he's just talking about like how the other people they wouldn't allow it, like how the other dinosaurs wouldn't allow him to like take on this job because he's probably got all this paperwork that he needs to finish and they've got punishment for like for him for not finishing it.
Right.
And then sure enough we see a UFO come down and it's full of dinosaurs, like
Right.
full of dinosaurs, and they're just chatting it up. He's like, oh, you got to find the Batson residents, like we got to find these people and we got to take care of them. And then the dinosaur's like, it should be on this form, but it's not. It's like, I can't find it. He's like, no one filled it out.
Right.
And it just seems to be like an ongoing thing with all of them. And I know it's because it's just like goofy, man. And it's
They
so,
said because like they can't, their arms are so
yeah,
short, so they can't, you know, the pen. They can't use the pen.
yeah,
So no
yeah.
paperwork gets done. So.
It's so funny, dude. Like, yeah. And he's like, well, it would have been your job to fill it out. And he's like, well, the paperwork files up too fast. It's like, I can't
Right.
ever do it. It's like, I can't keep up. Like, yeah, do you know how awkward it is to hold a pen?
Exactly.
It's just these dinosaurs are so funny, man.
They're awesome.
I love
And they're
them.
basically coming to like take the guy, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah, they're like coming to get Billy because of the situation, like because he saved the family in the first issue.
yeah.
So like, and then the auditor came at the end, and then you know the fleet is here.
Yeah.
You know the people that come to collect, and they're just trying to get Billy and like make him pay.
Right.
You know, for screwing things up for them. And
Mhm.
then they end up seeing like on their map that there's a lot of like a big grouping of people. So they decide to land there. Big mistake because they landed in Kondak.
Yeah.
Black Adam's pissed, man. I
Yeah.
mean, they were looking for a Marvel. They found the wrong one. You
I
know what I'm
know.
saying?
I mean, if there's one place you don't want to invade, it's Kondak. I mean, that's
Yeah,
basically
Kondak is not the place, man.
no. I mean, he's gonna
So yeah, they get bumped by Black Adam, and now he's pissed. So next issue will be the Captain versus Black Adam.
right, and it'll be these new dinosaurs going to audit and while dealing with Black Adam, and it's gonna
Yeah, I'm like, and I could see this being like the wrap up for this like silly like like this big dinosaur thing that they're doing in the background.
yeah,
I can see them saying like, hey, we saved you guys, so we'll call it even. Like you saved us, we'll call it even.
right.
And the dinosaur can stay as your like cleanup guy for the Rock of Eternity.
Which I hope he does. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, hell yeah! I hope he never leaves this book. I hope he's like the new because Tawny's in it too, right?
Yeah,
He's
they
like their
showed Tawny
butler.
only I think in the first issue.
Yeah, because he's like doing dishes and like cleaning up the house and stuff. Because like
Yeah,
the parents let him stay or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, and then that's funny too, man. Like he has a place for all of these characters. It's great.
exactly.
It's
And
so
I
cool.
think it's cool too because like you have like the Batcave was a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex, so the Rock of
Yeah,
Return have a living one in it.
yeah. I and just imagine the interaction between him and Batman. He's like, "Hey, Batman, you might have a statue, but I have a real dinosaur."
Right. Exactly. I could totally see Billy trying to
Dude,
flex that.
oh, man, I need Wade to put Shazam in World's Finest and just say that.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, guess what I've got in my cave now? A dinosaur. And then Batman's
Right.
like, yeah, me too. He's like, but yeah, is it real?
Yeah. He could say, I have a, I was going to say, he could say, I have a dinosaur and a butler. Should be, yeah. It'd be pretty
Yeah.
awful.
He's like, guess what, Batman? My dinosaur is my butler.
Exactly. I don't know, man. This series is way too damn fun. It looks too damn good. I'm not, I'm going to read it. I hope Wade just
Yeah, I hope it goes on for a long time. I was I
Because to me, in my opinion, Wade and Moore are just like the dream
oh
team.
dude,
Like
yeah,
everything they do is just flawless.
yeah,
It's
they're the best team at DC, like bar none. You
yeah,
know, like it's not even it's there's no close second. I don't think that there is. It's they're just so good together. And like just based on the interviews that I've seen from Wade, like since they started working on the like on World's Finest, they like love working together.
yeah,
So it's nice to see two creators that really just want to jam and just make cool stuff.
right. And I mean, if you watch any Wade interviews, he just praises Dan
Oh,
Morris.
dude. Yeah. Like was it the Comic Pop one where he was talking about like the Metalman arc and he was just saying like he just let kind of like let Dan go crazy with the Megazord kind of looking
Yeah,
thing. I was
yeah.
like, that's dope, dude.
He pretty much said like, we're doing these old concepts, but Dan Moore is just kind of revising it, making it modern and new. And he's
Yeah,
had
and that's exactly what it is. Like it's when I look at Dan Moore's art, I mean, while it is very modern, it's very like dynamic and it can be kind of chaotic when he's doing fight scenes. But it's not chaotic in a way that I lose track of what's going on. Like everything
right.
is very sharp and very clean. But like when he does like character designs or like when he's just like out there doing like just like regular characters, like not necessarily doing fight scenes, but just drawing them, it just feels so classic.
It does.
You know, it just has that like of course it's updated, but like it just has that classic comic book feel that books like The Flash doesn't have, you know, or like it and there's just something about that that I really appreciate and I really like. I mean,
Yeah.
it's and I feel the same way about like Immortal Thor. Like Kokolo is killing it, dude. Like his his art, I mean, and Matt Wilson on colors is great.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it lies in like when you because you can have a great artist, but if you give them a bad colorist or somebody who's
Yeah.
just
That
like
could break the art, man. That could legit like break the art if you
yeah,
just
yeah, 100%, 100%. Like and that's I'm trying to think of what book recently did that. Oh well, it doesn't matter. But like, yeah, when you have like when you have Tamara Bonvillain or you have Alejandro Sanchez or you have somebody like Matthew Wilson, and these guys are just like perfect. They just are have the perfect colors, the perfect shading. Like they just know what works
right.
for the artist they're working on.
And I mean, you got to think about like how tedious of a job that is to just always be consistent. Like the color there goes here on this page, and like just to be consistent. And like it's a
Yeah.
you
I
know
mean, and it's so funny because I feel like that's like being a comic book colorist could be like that could be like everybody's dream, you
yeah,
know? Because you basically get to color superheroes for a living.
and you get to look at dope art and just
Yeah, and you get to color that. You know,
yeah.
like I couldn't imagine having
A lot of
somebody.
pressure though. It's a lot of pressure.
I mean, oh
You,
yeah, 100%,
you know,
100%. Like, and I'm not sitting here saying like I could color like Dan
yeah,
Moore's art or somebody's art, but like, where's my Dan Moore coloring book, DC?
yeah, for
You know
real.
what I mean? Like, where's that at? Like, let me color on those pages, bro.
Yeah,
Like, and I'm just like messing around, but like, you know, it really does make or break a book. So it's nice to see some of my favorite titles have like just some of like the highest quality of creators on it.
well, I mean, you got to think about it. Dan Mora, he's doing those two series, and then he's doing covers. He's even doing covers for both of those series too, and he's doing covers for this like Batman, Santa,
Yeah,
Silent Night
I mean,
thing.
he does like 10 covers a month plus two
Yeah,
ongoing books. He's never late. I mean, and he's doing stuff for Boom and IDW from time to time still too.
right.
So
I
you
mean,
know,
DC did good to lock him down, dude.
oh
Because
dude,
you know,
is he he's not exclusive with them yet.
I
I
think
can't.
so. I haven't seen him do anything Marvel.
No, but
Can't
he's been.
imagine that Marvel wouldn't want
That's
Dan
true.
Mora. I can't imagine that they wouldn't.
I don't know.
Usually
Because I
those
know.
clauses only go for the big two. It's basically you could
Yeah,
still
yeah,
do
yeah. I mean,
independent
they can still
stuff,
do
and
their
you could go
creative
to
stuff, but like, yeah, I'm trying to think of. I don't remember seeing an exclusive pop up for him, but it's possible.
yeah. Because I would just imagine that Marvel would be trying to with how much praise that he's
Yeah, that's
getting.
and that would be a topic for another day. Is
Yeah,
like who would you want to pull from DC to Marvel and vice versa?
right.
Like what books would you want him to work on?
Yeah, we should do that for like a one shot video.
I'm game.
Yeah.
You heard it
But
here, guys. We're gonna do that next.
hell yeah. But we're running out of time now, so
Yep. All right,
so
y'all. Thanks for listening to us. Gab about Shazam for 30 minutes. It was fun.
yes,
We
sir.
we love this title. We love the
Mhm.
creative team. It's great, good stuff. And if you guys aren't reading it, we both highly recommend it. And anything else that they've worked on in forever.
Yeah. If you see those
Ghostface
those
Killer.
two's name like on it, just grab it. It's gonna be good.
Yep, it's gonna be good. All right, guys. Peace out. Later.
Later on, guys.